listening to Sweep the League.
Hey, this is George Iceman Gervin, and you're listening to Sweep the League Radio.
All right, fellas, welcome to the Tuesday Night Delight edition of Sweep the League. Rudy Campos Jr. going to be joined by Hall of Famer Derek Gervin. A lot to get into. CFP came out today, so we're going to get the rankings out right now. Top 12, which 12 are in. We're going to get all that in there. It's going to be kind of crazy tonight. Also, we've got our you see it here first type thing. Obviously, we've got a reaction episode from Derek Gervin. A special surprise. I don't know if he's seen it just yet, but we got a little surprise for him involving one Iceman, one George Gervin. So we're going to see if he knows what happens here in the video. So we're going to show him that later on the show. Plus, definitely got some NBA talk. If you guys were paying attention, Sacramento Kings are kind of doing a little bit of shopping when it comes to De'Aaron Fox. We've been telling you guys for a very long time about De'Aaron Fox. We'll get into that as well. Also, Spurs in action, NBA Cup. We got a lot to get into. Let's not waste any time because a whole lot of CFP talk is coming right now. Let's bring him on here. The UTSA legend, Hall of Famer himself, Derek Gervin. Mr. Gervin, man, are you excited for CFP talk on Tuesday night?
I am very excited, and one of the reasons is I love what's going on with the college as we approach the playoffs. And another reason is I'm a little burnt out tonight. I just came from a high school basketball game.
Oh, wow.
It was Veterans Memorial High School versus Bernie. And, of course, you know I used to coach a little bit in Bernie.
Yeah.
So at the end of the first quarter, it was not too good, man. So, yeah, I'm excited for football.
Well, shout out to Bernie, man. I know you do a lot of work with the kids out there, and, you know, they're only going to get better. That's all we can say is they are.
Well, that's what I end up telling them. Just stay positive and keep working hard. Continue to believe in the coach and believe in yourselves, and things will get better.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Tim Gonzalez in here. Jacob Eric. Now, before we go any further, Jacob Eric and I are going to do a podcast or two tomorrow. It's not going to be live, but we're going to release a podcast or two involving trading cards, which we have a trading card scene later on today in this episode. Just kind of a little bit of foreshadowing there, but we're going to be talking some trading cards probably tomorrow. So those episodes will be coming out throughout the week. More Sweep Unplugged is coming out as well. So we got a lot going on here. Be sure to go to YouTube, search Sweep the League TV, be a subscriber. And I don't want to waste any time. I kind of got a little bit of a problem with the rankings this week, Derek. Let's get this college football party started here. I really wish Coach Gio was here with us tonight, but again, he's working, so he's got a lot on his plate. They're trying to do a lot of stuff with his job, but as we can see, the college football playoff rankings have come out. Now, the 12 teams that are in: Oregon, Texas, Penn State, Notre Dame, Georgia, Ohio State, Tennessee, SMU, Indiana, Boise State, Bama, Arizona State. Now, Bama gets in. Miami is the first team out. The second team out is Ole Miss. I don't really give too much credit to Ole Miss. The Miami debacle is horrible. They're a 2-loss team. They've lost lately, yes. Bama's a 3-loss team, but I don't understand, other than Bama's name being Bama, and don't give me the schedule stuff, but you have a lot of people saying, well, Bama's the better team. They had more wins across the top 25. They had this, they had that. I still think Miami should be in over Alabama. And I'll say this, schedules are made years in advance. So you can't fault a team for having a weak schedule. And if you're going to do that, then you got to go through across the board on a lot of stuff. Because some of the teams, you know, you can basically call out their schedules that are already in the college football playoffs. So don't use the schedule anymore of that, because these are made years in advance. But I'm upset that Bama's in and Miami's not, to be honest with you.
You know the frustrating part, Rudy, and this is for college in general. What I don't like, come playoff time, how all of a sudden the schedule matters. If I remember correctly, at one time, wasn't Miami in the top 4 teams?
Yeah.
they had the same schedule then, right?
Yeah, they do.
So if the schedule's so weak, why would they ever rank number 4 in the first place? So it sounds like a bunch of what I call horse pucket when they start all of a sudden now the teams they were playing is not good enough, but yet you had them in the top 5 in the country early in the season. Just be honest about it. You're looking for a way to get Alabama in there. And if it wasn't Alabama, if Georgia had 3 losses, it would be the same thing. And I just wish they'd be honest about it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the schedule, they play a lot into it, but it never comes into play until the end of the season when they start doing, hey, we need the top 12. We need to get the 12 in. That's when the schedule makes a big difference. And you're right. The schedule doesn't change from week 1. It's the same schedule all the way to week 14, 13, whatever. It's never going to change. And that's what I don't like it. If you're going to go conference-wise, fine. You're going to blame Miami for playing in the ACC, but you're going to reward Bama for being an SEC team. I get the wins. I get the losses. Miami probably had bigger losses than Alabama. I do get that, but you can't blame a team for the schedule. That's just my opinion there. I like that they didn't really, blame Indiana for their schedule. I mean, they put a beating down on Purdue 66-0, but then you have the other part too, where you have social media. I like to call them social media tough guys who say, well, Indiana beat Michigan, Michigan beat Ohio State. So technically Indiana is better than Ohio State. I don't care if they lost. That loss doesn't mean a whole lot. Indiana and Ohio State are equal because Michigan beat Ohio State, but Indiana beat Michigan. All that kind of talk, it's dumb. It's BS to me. It's stuff like that. But on the Bama thing, who cares? The schedule shouldn't really matter too much. And if it does, then it's got to matter across the board. And that's the thing. I feel for Miami out here. I do hope they get in somehow, but I don't see it happening.
Didn't they struggle, like in the first half, they struggled in several games, and then they came back and won, right?
Yeah.
I thought we based it off winning is the name of the game. And you're going to tell me going down the stretch, Alabama got beat in a very pivotal game, 24-3, if I'm correct, 2 weeks ago, yes?
Oklahoma, yeah.
Okay, Oklahoma. Was Oklahoma a top team this year? No.
They were a 6-loss team.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. This is one of the worst teams we've seen in Oklahoma in the last decade or more. But yet Alabama loses to them 24-3, but yet Miami falls out of the top 12. And Alabama's elevated to number 11. To me, that stinks. And I just don't it's not fair. I'll say that. So hopefully we'll get to the 16-team playoff and they'll kind of make it a little more fair. But right now, I feel bad for Miami. They've had a good team this year. They lost 2 games. They came up short. But if you look at Alabama, this is the worst team Alabama's had in several years, and I don't think they deserved it.
Wait, you brought up a good point about Oklahoma beating Alabama. Oklahoma's a 6-loss team, and then you're gonna disrespect Miami for losing to Syracuse, who's a 3-loss team. They're 9-3 after that win. They were 8-3 prior to Miami. Beat Miami 9-3, a 3-loss team. You're gonna suffer. You're gonna give consequences to Miami for losing to Syracuse, who's been tough all season long.
A good team. Yeah, it's not like they lost to a bum. They lost to a very good team who could upset any team from week to week on any given Saturday, as they say in college. And that's what bothers me the most. Syracuse is a very dangerous team, kind of like a Vanderbilt. Those kind of schools were really dangerous. Yeah. And I don't see Oklahoma. I didn't see them like that this year. But, of course, they spanked Alabama, and it's like Alabama got rewarded for that.
Yeah, and that's the problem that I have with this CFP. Miami should be in, Bama should be out. Enough on that. And then you got to look at a couple of games. Obviously, we're not going to be picking games today. We'll do that towards the end of the week. But a pivotal game is that Boise State game because they play against UNLV, who's one of the hotter teams in the league in college football right now is UNLV. They're sitting at 10-2. If they win that conference championship, it's legitimately goodbye Boise State.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a winner and you're in type of thing. Plus, Clemson isn't in the Final 12, but they're playing SMU. So
Wow.
In essence, if Clemson beats SMU, then you go back to, okay, Clemson's got to get in because they're a conference champion. Then where does SMU go? Now, people are saying that if SMU loses,
they drop
and Bama
out.
drops.
So what about
SMU gets in?
What about Ole Miss?
Well, again, it's
you got like 3 or 4 teams that realistically could still move into the playoffs, right?
You technically have 2 teams right now that can get in technically. Now, if they go by conference championships, Iowa State plays Arizona State for the conference title. So if Iowa State wins, I mean, it's a tough thing.
Arizona.
I don't think Arizona is going to lose. Arizona State's probably one of the hottest teams, if not the hottest team in college football. I don't expect them to lose this week, but it's that Clemson SMU game, and it's that Boise State UNLV game. Both of those games can do a lot of damage because Boise doesn't win, SMU doesn't win. You're talking about Bama. Probably Bama going to have to be dropped. I mean, there's no way I would take Bama over SMU, or I would take them over. I would probably take them over
South Carolina.
Yeah, I would take them over Boise probably, but I don't know if I'd take them over an SMU team.
No, SMU's been good all year. They've been consistent.
And that's what I'm getting at. It's something's going to change. I don't expect Bama to make it.
You got 4 or 5 teams that, honestly, if you didn't just go by what conference they're in, 4 or 5 teams that could be rated over Alabama that I would possibly put against that would pick them to win if they were to play Alabama straight up head to head. And so we'll see what happens. But right now, to even have Alabama at number 11, I think is a disservice to all those other teams. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see. I mean, it's gonna be a fun weekend of championship for college football this weekend because I'm gonna love it. There's gonna be a lot of games to watch. There's gonna be 2, maybe 3 big games that you've got to watch. Everybody's gonna be watching Georgia, Texas, because if Texas ends up losing again, then you probably are looking at Georgia as a 2 seed. And then Texas falls into the first round of the bracket. So I think that's going to do a lot. Texas has to come out strong. But if this bracket stays as it is, Derek, and no changes, this is for S and giggles that this stays like this. I texted you and Gio and everybody else, and I said, Arizona State has a clear path to that Final Four. I'd love Arizona State in that Final Four because I feel they're the better team over Penn State. I feel they're way better than Boise State. So they could clearly get to the Final Four if this bracket stayed the same. Do you see a team in here that maybe has a clear path or is going to be favored in a part of a bracket?
I know a lot of people are still going to be questioning Oregon. But I told you from the beginning, I like the Oregon team. I think Dan Lanning has his team playing on all cylinders. But some people are going to question because if you really think about it, there's some people that really believe Ohio State is the best team in the country.
I don't believe that at all.
So even maybe it changed a little after the Michigan. But before the Michigan game, you know that the favorite, I watched them on ESPN. Do you know before the Michigan game, Ohio State was the team that was picked to win it all?
Really? I didn't think I saw that.
I watched it, and they said Ohio State over Texas, over Oregon. They had Ohio State Buckeyes favored to win it all before they went into the Michigan game. So there's still some people going to believe in the Buckeyes. So we'll see.
I think if you're looking at this, if the national championship came down to Oregon against Texas, I think that's probably the best national championship game we can get out of this group right here. But I think that would test Oregon a lot because, Texas is the best team on the offensive side and defensive side right now of the ball.
Right now.
So,
well,
that's a tough one.
I don't know. Offensively, after the Texas A&M game, you still have a lot of faith in their offense?
Yeah, man. I think it's super tough to play it in College Station and Kyle Field. It's super tough. Yeah. But I think they really did a tremendous job against A&M to where I feel confident in them going into the bracket round. I really do still.
So right now you would have Arizona State over Penn State or Boise State.
Yeah, right now I would take Arizona State to go all the way to the Final Four.
Yeah. And I'm looking at this right now. If I believe if this were to stay like it is right now, I would have Tennessee favored over Ohio State.
I would take Tennessee over Ohio State in that bracket right there. There's no doubt about that.
It's going to be tough. Alabama, Notre Dame, we know. I always tell you, Penn State or Notre Dame, what? But I think at this point, I'm still worried about Notre Dame. Are they physical enough to deal with Alabama?
I want to say I would give Notre Dame the edge on Alabama. Alabama, it's put it this way. They're not a Nick Saban team anymore. So they're not fearful. Like, they're not feared. And that's where I look at Notre Dame. Okay, I kind of favor Notre Dame over Alabama. So I would take Notre Dame in that game, but I would probably take SMU either if they played Bama or Notre Dame.
I think so. Right now, I think I would as well. I think they're still underrated. SMU, they've been so consistent all year. Earlier in the year, we thought Memphis would be the team they were talking about, but SMU has continued just to thrive over and over and over and find ways to win. So I wouldn't be surprised, Rudy. I mean, Texas would be tough for them, but yeah, I could see SMU in the Final Four, just like you could see Arizona State. So I don't think that's a reach, to be honest about it.
I think the toughest bracket is obviously the Indiana, Georgia, Texas side, because as great as Indiana has looked, Georgia is the question mark. All right, what Georgia team do you get? Do you get the struggling Georgia team, Carson Beck having, issues on, getting the ball downfield, throwing interceptions, just looking really terrible? If that happens, Indiana could put a really good spanking on Georgia easily. But then you have to go up against the Longhorns. Indiana got smacked by Ohio State in people's eyes. Not in mine, but in people's eyes. They got smacked. Whenever you're a championship boxer, you love boxing. I know you love boxing.
I love it.
When you're a champion or a title contender, you're going to get punched in the mouth. You're going to get rattled. And I think Indiana got rattled. Will they be there? Will they be rattled again in the CFP? I don't know. I don't think so. I think Signetti kind of would have them better. But I think an Indiana-Texas matchup, I could be a little feared on that one. I can definitely see Indiana move the ball on Texas because we've seen other teams do it on Texas. That's a tough bracket to pick right there.
So how does the conference championships affect these 12 that we're looking at right now? Because I know Penn State has to go against Oregon next week, right?
Yeah, so pretty much Penn State and Oregon are penciled in. They're guaranteed.
As far as where they're ranked.
I think what it is, again, I'm not 100% sure, but the highest ranking conference champions are getting the first round buys. So because Arizona State is ranked lower than Boise State gets the ranking higher. They have a higher ranking, so they would get the higher seed. When it comes to conference champions, there's 5 conference champions. The rest are 6 conference champions, and then the rest are at-large bids, basically, or something like that. But, yeah, so for right now, Boise would be the highest-ranking conference champion at the end of the season, technically. So,
say if Oregon were to wipe the floor with Penn State.
Penn State would still be right around 3 or 4.
You still think so? 3 that high? Yeah,
I mean – you're losing to the number 1 team in the country. It hurts, but it's not going to drop them a whole lot. Maybe worst 5 at worst, I would say. But it's not going to be an Indiana-Ohio State thing where you drop them like 5 spots when Indiana lost to Ohio State. So, but I mean, I think you've got majority of the teams here. The only team that I can maybe see being bounced, I don't even know. Honestly, I think the only ones you can add in here is maybe UNLV, maybe Clemson. Those are the only 2 teams. But if you get Clemson in, that means Bama's got to go. If you get UNLV in, does Boise have enough to get into the CFP?
You got to keep Boise in it because they have Heisman Trophy candidate. Not only, a top 2 Heisman Trophy candidate.
Then you got to replace him with. Then you got to take off Indiana probably.
Well, then that's I would hate for that to happen because I know Gio would be a sad guy. But I mean, when you got Genty,
Yeah,
you got a marquee player, so you got to find a way somehow to keep Boise State in there.
Yeah, I think so. But the way the committee looks at things, because the committee was saying, well, the reason why Bama's in there is because they had more top 25 wins and, this loss was this. And, well, Miami didn't have as many top 25 wins. They had one and they had those losses at the end of the year. They're downplaying everything. So I don't know. And nobody knows how this committee is going to even actually look at the teams, because Tim brought a good point. If Penn State loses, where do they drop to? Do they even drop out? I mean, can you leave certain teams out? If Boise loses, I mean, he brought up the point I was just going to make right now, Tim. If Boise loses to UNLV, Arizona wins, Arizona's going to probably be a higher seed. So then they get the 4th seed, meaning that they would be higher than UNLV and Boise. So a lot can change, but then look at Clemson. If Clemson beats SMU, they shouldn't get a first round bye. They're probably going to be in the first round somewhere, but then that moves Arizona State in there. That also moves possibly UNLV, maybe even into the first round, bye or something. It's going to be crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. But I just don't know who you would take out other than Bama and Indiana, which I would hate to see Indiana go, because then I'm playing social media bad guy when I say, well, you lost to Ohio State. Well, you beat Michigan. Ohio State beat Indiana, but lost to Michigan. What hurts the most? I think Ohio State losing to Michigan hurts a lot more than Indiana losing to Ohio State. To me, that's what hurts the most right there. But who knows? At the end of the day, who do you think stays?
I don't think Indiana should drop out. We'll see what happens this coming week, but Indiana, to me, is a team that deserves to be there. Arizona State deserves to be there, and I could see Arizona moving up. They're one of the few teams I'm looking at that I could see. I could see them being a number 4 seed, possibly 4 or 5. But it's going to be hard, man. We got to see what they got. The committee has a tough job on their hands.
Oh God! Would you like to be in that room trying to make this decision after Saturday?
It kind of reminds me of when you have the jury and you have that 12 people. You have 11 that just he's innocent, or you got the 11 he's guilty, and then you got that one. Well, I don't know. I got to think about it, and that's kind of what we're looking at now, because you got 3 or 4 teams that, to me, still 3 or 4 that could possibly move in, and 1 or 2 that could move out. So, yeah, it's going to be very interesting.
It's going to be extremely interesting for college football playoffs, and it's going to be decided on Saturday. So, quick heads up, UTSA, they're going to have a press conference here really soon. They're going to announce what bowl game they're going to be going to. I think the Independence Bowl is one of them. I think that's in Louisiana. The Armed Forces Bowl is in, I think, Dallas area. Those are the 2 that I'm looking at. I don't know if they're going to get into the New Mexico Bowl. That's another possibility. If they stay in Texas, I think we're going to end up going to cover the game if it's a Texas game. If it's in Louisiana or New Mexico, I know I probably couldn't go to Louisiana. New Mexico, on the other hand, I like New Mexico. I actually liked it there. Albuquerque was a pretty cool place. I wouldn't mind going there. But nonetheless, when they announce, we'll let everybody know when they do announce which bowl game they're going to be going to, the UTSA Roadrunners. When we get back, man, Twitter was blowing up today, Jared. Social media. It was blowing up because Sacramento basically was posting about De'Aaron Fox. And I'm just sitting there sipping my coffee thinking, well, hell, Derek and I were talking about this before the season even started. But yet everybody's blowing up because, well, what if De'Aaron Fox comes to Texas? What if he likes coming to San Antonio? What if? We're going to have to remind everybody the comments that we made and the talks that we've had and what is possibly going to happen with De'Aaron Fox and the Sacramento Kings. We're going to do that when we get back here from our only commercial break. It is the Hall of Famer Derek Irvin Rudy Campos Jr., and the Iceman cometh in the second half of the show as we show Derek. What do we call? I don't remember what we call that segment anymore. What is that? I got it here somewhere. It's going to be the Iceman cometh. Derek's going to see the first time. I think, I don't know. It's a cutoff guard thing. It's the first time he's going to see this probably, hopefully. If he's seen it already, it's going to be even cool to watch again. But when we get back, we'll get to the Iceman. We'll get to De'Aaron Fox. We'll get him some Spurs coverage and whatever else comes up. Derek Gervin, Rudy Campos Jr. will be back. Are you looking for a contracting company that gets the job done right the first time? Look no further than MCS General Contracting. MCS specializes in top quality concrete work, including patios, driveways, foundations, and swimming pools. The team of experts are dedicated to delivering exceptional results and unparalleled customer satisfaction. At MCS General Contracting, they're not just hardworking, they're local. Based in San Antonio, they are committed to building relationships and trust within the community. That's why MCS guarantees your satisfaction. They pride themselves on getting the job done right the first time, every time. So why wait? Contract MCS General Contracting today to schedule your project and experience the difference for yourself. MCS General Contracting. Building a better San Antonio, one project at a time. Proud sponsors of Sweep the League.
Exclusive interviews with Rudy and the crew. Let's go.
You are watching Sweep the League TV. Make sure you subscribe and catch our new videos.
Sweep the League TV with Rudy Derrick and Coach Gio. Let's get back to the live show. You are watching the best in the business. For the ones who doubted, now we're showing the proof. Came from the struggle, we live in the truth.
STL Music.
Yeah, challenges come, but we here to stay. Built from the dirt, now we paved the way. Had a bad day, but this life ain't bad. Came from the...
All right, welcome back to Sweep the League. Hall of Famer Derek Gervin, Rudy Campos Jr. Coach Gio is on hiatus right now. He's got some work to do, so he'll be back here as soon as he can. A shout out to MCS General Contracting. You can see it right there. Proud sponsors of Sweep the League, best in the business. It's 100% guaranteed by them and by Sweep the League. Contact Chris Lehan and the boys over at MCS General Contracting. Talking about building, man. So a while back, we saw Sacramento sign DeMar DeRozan. At the moment DeMar signed, I already knew it spelled doomsday for De'Aaron Fox because he turned down his offer. He turned down his extension for good reason. He wants to test out the free agency market. He wants to see what's going on. Or could it possibly be that he wants to come to San Antonio? Something that you mentioned. We've been preaching about it. I've been on other podcasts, local podcasts. I've mentioned the exact same thing on that podcast as well, that De'Aaron is from his girl's from San Antonio. He's got San Antonio ties. And we've got Chris Paul on a 1-year rental. So De'Aaron to San Antonio, it comes out today. It says rival executive are monitoring the De'Aaron Fox situation in Sacramento. Basically last month, Fox turned down a $165 million extension. The assumption was that it was about next year's financial opportunity for Fox and nothing to worry about. But now it's coming out the other executives aren't so sure. They are pretty worried that De'Aaron is going to leave Sacramento. Knew this was happening, man, once they signed DeMar DeRozan. They didn't have a guarantee that De'Aaron was going to stay, so they went and got DeMar DeRozan as an insurance policy. Not a surprise to you, not a surprise to me, but a lot of Spurs fans going crazy with the idea of De'Aaron Fox maybe coming to the great state of Texas.
Hey, Rudy, I think that $165 million, if I'm correct, that was a 3-year deal, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, it was a 3-year extension.
$55 million a year.
Yeah, 3-year extension.
Well, I think I've already told you how I felt before the season. I'm actually right now, I'm turning my head. Who am I looking at with the ball in his hands right now? De'Aaron Fox playing against the Houston Rockets. Mm-hmm. The only question I have is Chris Paul, I think has played very good so far this season. And how would the Spurs feel about at this point? Do they give Chris Paul the respect that he deserves as the point guard and keep him around another year? Because that would be interesting when you can get a young guy still in their prime, De'Aaron Fox. I told you I believe he wants to play here. For those who don't know, his wife is from here.
Yeah.
Reese Caldwell. She played basketball here at the school of people ever heard of Feast. She played at Feast. Her dad has a very big name here, coaching one of the best women's young ladies teams in the city. And so it would be interesting. I won't divulge too much info, but I did have a conversation with her dad at the end of September. And I mentioned him, maybe I'll see his son-in-law and you in San Antonio soon. And hey, after the conversation, I'm still on the De'Aaron Fox is going to be a Spur player next year. I can't change my mind now.
Yeah, I think, it makes a lot of sense. Now, the other part that I look at was you have some people saying Chris Paul's the difference maker. He should stay a Spur. Hell, I woke up this morning, I logged into Twitter or X or whatever it is, just to see someone retweet something saying about, should we consider Chris Paul an all-time Spur already? I mean, at the point guard position, and it has to be in their prime. I said, wait a minute, hold up. You can't do that right now. I mean, you're forgetting Tony Parker, obviously. He's been a Spur for 17 games, 20 games already.
Ronnie Moore, James Silas, Avery Johnson.
Well, here's the disrespect is that the guy that did it, I think he mentioned, his all-time starting Spurs and no mention of George. He had Kawhi Leonard at the 3 position. And I'm like, there's no such thing as an all-time Spurs lineup without George in there. I mean, he had Manu at a 2 position. And I pushed back. I said, well, if you're going by all-time players that have played for the Spurs, then you're leaving out Tracy McGrady, all-time, MVP candidate in his prime. He should be the 2 guard for the Spurs then, if you're going by all time. And then
there's only 1-2 guard here in San Antonio, man.
Yeah, I mean it's George.
I love Manu, was number 44. They wouldn't even be in San Antonio. The reason they came to San Antonio was because of George Gervin. So the people that do their history, they know who's the guard. I love Manu, but Manu's a 6-man. George is a 9-time out of 10 seasons in the NBA, 9-time All-Star, 5-time first team in All NBA. I don't believe Manu even made 3rd team All NBA. So just talking about basketball, I think they need to do a little more studying. But if that's who they like, that's who they like. But there's also reality. A guy who every year of his career, except for his last year with the Bulls, George was an all-star. And so he brought the people to the stands. But I'm going to say once again, for those who don't get it, 5-time first team All-NBA.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there was kind of a list. I was just like, okay, I don't get that. But to consider Chris Paul, his all-time point guard for San Antonio history, the biggest slap in the face for everybody that's ever covered the Spurs, watched the Spurs, has anything to do with the Spurs, because you're getting a 20-game dose of Chris Paul. Yes, it's turned around from last year. It's 11-9. It's 20 games. Last I checked, they're not winning right now.
Rudy, he doesn't even rank over the guy we interviewed a couple months ago. He doesn't even rank over Speedy Claxton yet.
Yeah, I'll say that right now.
And I mean that. No disrespect. I'm being honest because, I'm a Chris Paul fan.
Yeah.
But people, they jumped the gun a little too fast today. And these are a lot of people that don't even study the game. They think the game started in the year 2000. So they need to do a little more studying history a little more. I love Chris Paul, but for San Antonio right now, 20 games. I mean, come on now. Let's be realistic.
That's what I said. It's a 20-game dose right now of Chris Paul with the Spurs. Yes, they've turned it around. They're 11-9, way better than I expected them to be this part of the season. But nonetheless, it's just a 20-game sample of Chris Paul. We got to give them to 30, 40 games to see whether how they're going to actually be. But do you still think that Chris makes it through the season as a Spur, or does he become a trade deadline piece again? Because I mean, you're talking about a 1-year guy on a 1-year rent, like on a 1-year contract. I still have a gut feeling that he gets moved at the trade deadline to an actual title contending team.
If there's talk of De'Aaron Fox coming here, I mean, we don't know what goes on, what's being said behind the scenes. Yeah. But as you know, in reality, a lot of times these things are already being discussed. And I don't want to get anybody in the NBA in trouble. But if you know that you can get De'Aaron Fox next year, I don't think you want to even go into, Chris Paul could be moved. I mean, we're just being realistic. Who would you take right now at this point in their career? Chris Paul, who's on his way out the door, or De'Aaron Fox, who has possibly 10 more years of very good basketball left. So it's no slight for Chris Paul, but we got to be honest about it. De'Aaron Fox is a guy right now, top of the line player. And him and Victor, I think, would be a very good combination. And you throw in Stephon Castle. Victor Wembanyama, Stephon Castle, De'Aaron Fox. I mean, you're talking about building something, and there you go. That's a threesome you can't pass up.
You didn't even mention Devin Vassell, who's going to be
right. I ain't even mentioned Devin. I'm just saying because I think you talk about foundation players. I think Castle could play here as long as he wants. I think Victor would be able to play here as long as he wants. And I think De'Aaron Fox, if he were to come here, he would be able to be on his own terms, and he would be another guy that wouldn't move. I still think Keldon or Vassell could be moved in the future. I don't think if De'Aaron Fox came here, I don't think he would be moved. So those three guys, to me, would be the foundation.
Yeah, I think Keldon and Sohan are probably the two guys that are, if I'm realistically looking at it, they're probably the two names that are probably on the trading block for me. I would do that. Yeah, right now, yeah. I wouldn't be so quick to move Keldon, knowing how good he is coming off the bench, and he's a spark plug off the bench. I would say Jeremy's probably my first option to move. But, I mean, obviously Keldon and Jeremy are probably the two bigger names that you could see possibly on the move if anything does happen. So, nonetheless, we're going to see what happens. But, Sacramento's, now they're worried, which we knew they were worried way before then when they signed DeMar DeRozan, because you got to have an insurance plan, knowing that De'Aaron Fox wasn't going to sign his guaranteed or his extension for the contract. We got a couple more things here, man. We're going to go into a caught off guard type of thing here. So there's a couple of things that came out today, Derek. And of course, like we always do, we want to get your thoughts on them here. One of them is a baseball thing. So let's get out to the caught off guard moment here. All right, buddy. So Rob Manfred says that the buzz around adding a golden at-bat rule for MLB basically states where, hey, man, a team can choose one at-bat in every game to use its best hitter, regardless of where they are in the lineup. So if you've got bases loaded and you're on the eighth batter of the lineup, hey, Shohei, let's go ahead and get you batting this position here.
No, sir, Freddie Freeman. Hello.
I'm just saying, I reposted this and I said, this is the stupidest rule they could ever come up with. There's so much integrity. There's so much good with baseball. You see the changes in the NBA. It ain't working for viewership. The NFL is the NFL. But baseball being America's pastime, the tradition that is America's pastime, why would you want to add this? Are you for or against?
I am totally against it, Rudy, if you don't stop. First of all, you're disrespecting all the players on your team. I mean, come on, man. The golden at-bat. So I'm a big Reggie Jackson fan, so that means I've replaced – you remember how when you were a kid, they used to say you get 2 strikes and then someone could take your third bat to bat for you so you don't strike out and they replace you? Yeah. Do you know anything about that?
Yes, I do remember that.
Is that what come on, Rob Manfred. That is the dumbest thing I've heard, man. I like baseball. I enjoy the game, but to throw that golden bat stuff out the window, man, that's not going to make the game better. It's actually an insult to the rest of the lineup. That's crazy.
It's very, very crazy, man. Very crazy. We got more around here. We got more caught off guard moments. Let's drag it over here for you, Derek, and let's post it right there. As you see, one Dak Prescott comes out and says he backs Mike McCarthy and he feels that he should get another contract. as head coach of the Dallas Cowboys in 2025. To me, that's shocking because if you keep Mike McCarthy, again, you've got doomsday all over again in Dallas. You've already proven that it ain't working with Mike. It ain't working with Dak. You've already signed Dak. You're going to have to put up with one of them. You may as well put up with Dak Prescott and a new head coach. But this whole S show just got even worse in Dallas, man.
Well, 2 weeks ago, I had a change of heart, man, and I posted it on Facebook. I said I believe Mike McCarthy has secured his job. And these last 2 wins, I think, were huge. And then you factor in that Jerry Jones is obviously a fan of Mike McCarthy's, but we also know he was a big fan of Jason Garrett's as well. I think he's going to give Mike McCarthy a longer leash, man, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's retained. I honestly wouldn't. I don't know about another contract or how long it will be, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were to keep him on board.
You think a 1-year deal would be good for McCarthy?
But I think all these coaches right now, every sport should be 1 year, a 1-year deal. That's the NBA as well. So yeah, one year, and then you go see how that turns out. And I think we're headed that way anyway, Rudy, including with the players and all these 4-year deals and all of that. And after this, Dak got this $60 million a year. I think we're headed. You hear Jimmy Johnson said he wouldn't have signed Dak. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I do.
So I think in the near future, that's where we're headed anyway, a 1-year deal and see how it goes. And then maybe your scholarship will be renewed the following year.
Yeah, I don't blame the Dak signing. You got to sign a quarterback. I'm telling you, the quarterback had to be signed. It was not a good contract, but I mean, it's a tough position to fill. It really is, even in the draft. And, you know, Jerry, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know if Jerry wants to do a whole rebuild type thing.
But hasn't he become injury prone, Rudy?
He definitely has become injury prone.
To me, it sounds like he's being rewarded for being second in the MVP voting last year. Plus, Dak, well, I will say this. Dak is a heck of a guy in the locker room. And he's continued to stay positive most of the time, other than that, the conversation he said a few weeks ago on camera when he said we look like, the word.
Yeah.
But other than that, he's been an upstanding citizen. And it seemed like the players gravitate to him, man, through good and bad. So I guess maybe that's why he was rewarded. He has been a model citizen, so I'll give him credit for that. Maybe that's what Jerry is part of the reason he's re-signed him.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. It's gonna be weird, come the off season, because I think McCarthy does go. I don't think Jerry retains him. I think that's kind of already been the writing on the wall, especially the Cowboys can't make the playoffs, which technically they're not eliminated just yet, but I mean, they can turn it around. They can come around and get some victories. They could sneak in there possibly, but I just don't see it happening. We'll see what happens at the end.
Rudy, but read what that says one more time now. Who backed him?
Dak Prescott.
The $60 million man backing the coach. When that usually happens, what usually happens to the coach? Do they get removed? This is not Aaron Rodgers we're talking about.
Yeah.
When you just gave a quarterback a new deal for $60 million a year, and he's telling you that's who he wants to run the ship, don't you have to factor that in?
You do. But at what point do you even look at Dak and say, do you even want to win?
Well, Dak sees something, but remember now, Jerry's not at every single practice. And Dak, for some reason, Dak has faith in Mike McCarthy. And we do have to say this, though, Rudy. Other than Tom Landry, Jimmy Johnson, and Bill Parcells, Mike McCarthy has won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have to factor that in as well. It's not like he's never won. He has won. And then and it seems like Jerry has a heck of a relationship with Dak. Because when Dak started talking about, I want to be here, but if it weren't to happen, things happen. This is business. And Jerry went ahead and signed him not long after that. So that tells me that Dak has some clout with the Dallas Cowboys. And when he's telling you publicly that he's backing the head coach, you got to factor that in.
True statement. That is a true statement. So I think we'll see what happens. If McCarthy stays, it's going to be another ho-hum season for the Dallas Cowboys unless they really make strides.
What if they're healthy next year?
Well, we've seen a healthy Cowboy team, and it doesn't look any better than what it looks now, man.
Well, they went 12-5 last year, and then this year they did have a lot of injuries that they weren't able to overcome.
Yeah.
The biggest thing to me is not Mike McCarthy. It's what do you do as far as guys like Micah Parsons, him not being signed yet. To me, that's a bigger issue than Mike McCarthy. So you got to deal with some of these players. They still don't have a running back. So they have other issues to me that are more important than Mike McCarthy. Get a man a chance to bring in a running back. I'm sorry they passed up Derrick Henry, but we got to see what he's like when he's got a full roster. And then if it doesn't work out, then to me, you move him.
Fair enough. I'll give you that much. I'll say you can give him another year and build. But that's the thing, too. You're going into the offseason. You're saying, Mike, we're going to give you another year. We're going to do a 1-year deal. Hopefully you get it done this year. But he can only work with what he's given. And I think that falls on Jerry and Stephen Jones. And this is where, okay, I would probably allow Mike to make some of these decisions on who comes in and who he wants, because the team as constructed, let's be real, they can make a playoff push, but there's no Super Bowl. Tell
me if you agree with this. This is where I think they erred, first of all. This is where they made a mistake, okay?
Yeah.
We look at the running back position, it was changing. You became a guy that could also catch the ball out of the backfield, right?
Yeah.
But now, looking at Derrick Henry and looking at Saquon Barkley, I think the game is kind of going back, kind of like the NBA, going back to the big man. You still, some guys are going to be posting up, like you got Zach Edey and those guys.
Correct.
So I think now you try to get a running back who's durable, first of all, not the Tony Pollards, not the Ezekiel Elliott's. You go out there on the market, you find one of these running backs that's very durable and that's tough. And then you bring in someone defensively. They got to shore up the defense, but a lot of that's from not being healthy. And then you see what happens. We got CeeDee Lamb. Maybe bring in another receiver and give Mike McCarthy something to work with. And then if it doesn't pan out this next coming season, 2025-26, then you move him.
Okay. I'll get behind that. JC's wondering if Roger Staubach is available, which I don't know.
Tony Romo is? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Tony is. I think Tony would probably do a little bit better on this. So got a couple more here on the cutoff guard moments there. We're going to have some fun ones to play now here. Let's go to this next one as Joe Burrow. He decided to buy a Batmobile for $3 million.
$3 million.
So Joe Burrow is definitely talking about being the next Batman in his own state of Ohio, where he bought a $3 million Batmobile. So it got me thinking. You and I, we've been around the sun a couple of times already, and we've had our fair share of TV cars and TV copters and everything. If you had to buy some kind of transportation, some kind of machinery like Joe did for the Batmobile, what would that be? Because for me, I'm not going to lie. I'm spending all my money on Airwolf. I don't remember Airwolf, the helicopter that was on TV. I've always wanted to pilot that thing. I've always wanted that thing parked in my backyard. I'm spending everything that I can to get me Airwolf for sure.
Man, that's a tough one for me because I don't. First of all, I don't want to be in the air. I want to be in the air as less as possible. But today, isn't the cyber truck a big thing today?
Today it is, but I mean, you can pick anything you want out there.
If I can pick anything I want my own jet.
Well, I mean, JC wants the Wonder Woman invisible jet. That's what he.
Well, Wonder Woman. Hey, well.
But if you don't like flying and it's invisible, you're looking down at the ground. That's
I'm not going to be traveling the whole. Yeah, but I like the jet, man. I saw who was that had a really nice jet. I'm trying to think, was it Floyd Mayweather or somebody? they had a jet, man. I was like, hell, that's the house. And so you can travel anytime you want. I mean, I wouldn't want to travel a lot, but when you got a woman, sometimes we have to come out of our comfort zone, right?
Yeah.
So if I got a girlfriend that wants to go like to Aruba and all of that, what would I like her to be traveling in? But I'm my own personalized jet. Of course, it wouldn't be named after me. It'd be named after her. But yeah, I'll take a nice Lear jet.
There you go, man. I think if not for Airwolf, I probably would have taken a Kit from Knight Rider. Is my other thing I would have probably got.
I like that.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. But yeah, I gotta go Airwolf, man. Shout out to Joe Burrow spending $3 million. Last thing we're gonna get into on the caught off guard moment is it's like I said, the Iceman coming.
Hey, man. I know him.
You know this guy. I think you kind of know him. I don't know if we can get the audio here, but if the audio plays, great. If not, are you able to hear the audio?
Yeah, maybe I've seen this, but we'll see. I know he's bending those cards.
Yeah, a card collector is like, what are you doing?
What my assistant coach is actually on there. He just showed my assistant coach on the left, Butch Beard.
Butch Beard?
My assistant coach with the Nets.
Mike D'Antoni beat.
Mike D'Antoni. That's nice, man. That's when he was. They had a picture of him when he was 21 years old.
Yeah, there's a video of him. He pulled his own rookie card out of that pack of cards, and the moment was like, wow. You could tell the excitement in George's face.
19 years old. Yeah, the rookie is 19. We're talking about beginning of 1973.
Yeah.
No, actually, let me see. So he would have been. Yeah, hell, I would have made him 21 as a rookie. He went pro at 19, but he wasn't allowed to come to the ABA at first. He had to play in the CBA after his college. He was released from college. He made a mistake in college, and he punched the guy, knocked him out. Him and Michael Jordan actually talked about it on the video. But after his rookie card, that's big time, man. I got a little emotional the other day when I saw it. I was actually with George this past Saturday. And so we had a nice event, a 1970s event. And when I saw that card, I got a little emotional, man. You could tell he did as well.
Yeah.
But those cards are worth a lot of money, and he was someone talking about him bending the card.
That's right. I saw for the first time him opening the cards, and I'm like, George, what are you doing? Don't bend that card. I mean, graded at a perfect 10. That's a massive amount of card right there for you, man. You can't be doing that. But hey, man, it's George. You pull in your card right there. JC, Derek, when are you going to sign some of my rookie cards for us fans? He's got a stack of cards waiting for you to sign. And I think
Rudy, JC, you have to talk to Rudy on that one, because when Rudy's ready to make it happen, he's the guy that I kind of move when he calls me and talks to me. We find a way to make it happen. I would like for that to happen soon. I actually have some cards sitting in my living room right on the table. I got a stack of about maybe 20 cards of myself. I'm ready to make it happen. So hopefully very soon, maybe who knows, maybe right before the holidays.
Yeah, well, shout out to this, because there's a card show this weekend. I might attend it. I'm still waiting to see if I can make it out there. So I'll let you know. I know JC kind of frequents them here and there when he's in town. So I know there's a big one this coming weekend. If I head out there, I'll definitely let you know. But yeah, I know JC's got a bunch of cards. But man, did you ever buy a pack and do what George did, just pull your rookie card, or was it something you just got or just saw at a show one time?
I had you remember Paul Mokeski?
I do remember Paul.
And, Paul and I were doing the show together, a 12-year NBA veteran, Paul Mokeski. I'll say it was August, right? Yeah. His son, they live in Phoenix. So his son was going through some cards.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, Paul lives in Las Vegas now. But he's a good guy. Look, his son went in the closet and pulled out all these basketball cards, and he had a lot of them in envelopes. And he went in the envelope, and lo and behold, pulls out about 15 or 20 Derek Gervin cards. So they sent them to me, so now I have them sitting on my living room table. And shout out to the McKeskey family. And that's how I got my cards. But Rudy, you know, I still get cards from like France, overseas. People still send me cards to sign. And I want to do a much better job of signing them for the people and getting them back out. So if you have some, I will give Rudy the address, and we can talk about it later, where you can send them to me, and I'll be glad to sign them, and I promise you I'll get them back to you.
Yeah, I didn't even know they had overseas cards of you there.
I get more people from France, Spain still sending me cards, man. And they get my address. They actually have them send them to the Gervin Center, and they send them there, and I pick them up. It's for George and myself. We do the same. But I was so happy, man, to see that I'm still known over in Europe.
That's awesome. You know what? There's a European card. I got to find some of those of you, man, because I've got your rookie cards. I know that. I don't have any European card. That would be a pretty cool thing to get right there. So we'll make it happen, JC. No problem on that. Like I said, I'll be out there this weekend. More than likely, one day we can make something happen. We'll do it there. We'll talk there, something like that. But yeah, we'll keep in contact with everybody. We got more appearances coming here pretty soon where Derek's going to be involved. So be on the lookout for that.
Hey, Rudy, can I say something quickly? Tim, actually, I talked to Ariana's dad yesterday. He just got back in town today. So I did ask him again. It sounds like I'll be able to get her. So now I'm going to try to lock down the date. But I did talk to her dad yesterday. Oh, but Rudy, back to when I went to my brother's event the other day, okay?
Yeah.
I didn't know how popular this Comic-Con thing was. And my nephew, man, George Jr. was talking about some stuff. And I'm like, gee, what are you talking about? And he was telling, not G, actually my great nephew, Jael, was talking about, I showed him some pictures of us at Comic-Con, right?
Yeah.
And then I told him about all the booths they had there and all the different cards and the T-shirts. So I showed him when I was interviewing people, when I was walking around, and he was seeing the different shirts, and he was telling me this is such and such. And I was like, man, what are you talking about? So he was talking over my head, but I didn't know how popular that stuff was, man. The Comic-Con, etc. It's amazing.
Yeah, I think we were lucky to get involved with that. There's a couple of other shows that I'm working on, and some of them aren't so big. It's the little Comic-Cons and the little conventions that they do where it's more personal, and that's kind of where I want us to
Pokemon.
Yeah, like Pokemon.
Yeah, he was talking about all that kind of stuff. I told him I'm familiar with Pokemon, but some of the things he named, I had no clue. I told him, you're talking over my head, young fella. But I didn't know. He was so happy to see me at the Comic-Con that his eyes just lit up, man. I'm like, really? It's that serious, huh? And he was telling me a lot of that stuff is worth a lot of money.
It really is, man. It really is worth a lot of money. And, you know, my daughter, huge into a lot of this stuff. I mean, she goes in she dresses in cosplay. She meets a lot of her voice actors that she hears. And
he said they spend thousands of dollars for some of that stuff.
Yeah, they do.
Are you kidding? He said thousands of dollars, man.
I'll say this, and you know, my wife knows. She knows exactly about it. But when we've gone to Comic-Cons just for my daughter, I mean, literally, she could probably spend about $400 or $500 in one event, and that's just for one day. I mean, people pay ridiculous amount of money for certain things. I mean,
so you have to get them graded. He said something about like if you go places like Walmart, right?
Yeah. So and like
you buy some of those cards and all that. He said, yeah, and then you get them graded.
Yeah.
And he said you don't know at first when you buy them that you got something in there that's like hitting the lottery.
Yeah.
And he said when you go get them graded, man, you'd be surprised. And he said that's people that make their living that way.
Mm-hmm.
A very good living.
JC is one guy that, I mean, he doesn't make his living off of cards, but when you want to talk collections, Jacob, who was helping us at the Comic-Con, he's got a massive collection. He's got a really good Wemby collection. I mean, collection. And that's why I go to some of these events, because you look at the booths, man, especially at card shows, you see cards that like, oh my God, how much for that one? Oh, that's going to be $4,000 or $5,000. Like, wow, are you serious for a card? Like, yeah, it's $4,000 or $5,000. Now, I did price a Gervin rookie card, a George Gervin rookie card. And I didn't pull the trigger on it. It was graded, I believe, at an 8. and the guy was asking about 300 for it. So I think, to me, pretty good, pretty fair. I would have done that. My intention this weekend is to go in there and try to find a George Gervin rookie card, because I don't have it. You've seen some of the stuff that I've got. I've got Silas. I've got a lot of other things like that. I have yet to get a Gervin rookie card, and I think this weekend I'm trying to shop for one if I can end up going out there, because seeing that video first off was like, all right, I got to get me a George rookie card somewhere. I've had it in my hand a couple times. I've just never pulled the trigger on it.
He was born too soon, man. If you look at it today, if that same card was Luka or LeBron,
yeah,
just think how much money we're talking. Because if I remember correctly, LeBron did have a rookie card that sold for thousands and thousands of dollars.
You're talking probably, so the one that I know of, and I've seen it, I've held it, a buddy of mine has it, or he did have it in Houston, was a LeBron Topps Chrome black border rookie. I think it was out of 10, only 10 ever made. And it was graded, I think, at a 10, a gem mint 10. That card right there, minimum is six figures. Minimum six figures.
Wow.
I think it could go as upwards of seven figures in some instances. So you got to remember, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but I had a Luka Doncic rookie card numbered out of 10, and it was his rookie autographed. So it was a gold plated, like the gold rookie. I sold that one for $7,500. If I would have held on to it, that same card,
75,000.
that same card would have probably brought in. Honestly, Derek, I have yet to see the same card pulled.
Really?
Anywhere. I've not seen
oh my God, a million seller.
So I think I would have probably pulled in very close to probably six figures if I would have kept it. And next time I see you, I have pictures of it. So next time I see you, I'll show you the pictures of it. But yeah, cards, and even Pokemon and anime stuff, the Comic Cons.
Anime. That's what he kept saying.
Yeah, it's a whole new world.
And I'm gonna be honest with the people, so don't get upset with me. Remember, I'm an older guy. I said, anime. Who was that? And he said, what is it? Anime.
Anime.
Man, look, I never heard that until Saturday.
Man, yeah.
And that's what he was talking about, anime. I was like, what is that, Jael? I never heard of that. And then he started explaining it to me.
It's crazy.
That's when he started talking about how expensive that stuff was.
It's very crazy. Does Jael he lives in San Antonio, right?
Oh, yeah, awesome.
Yeah, no, he lives close enough. Oh, yeah, I ain't going to be telling people too much info about
No. You don't have to tell anybody anything. I'm just saying, because if we can ever go to another big Comic-Con, we can definitely invite him.
He would. He would be on cloud 10.
I think we'll be able to do another Comic-Con pretty soon here. So we'll definitely get him involved. But yeah, man, it's a whole nother world. I got introduced to it. I knew about it, but I didn't get introduced to it until later on with my daughter. She was like, Dad, you got to watch this. Dad, you got to do this. Dad, we got to buy this. Here I am spending hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars on stuff. I have no idea what I'm buying.
He's 26. And the other young man that was sitting with us is 14, right?
Yeah.
So this young man already knows he wants to go to Harvard. So I'm sitting there having a conversation with the two of them. And so Jael's excited, but then the 14-year-old got involved when he heard the anime. And he started explaining to me kind of in depth. And I was like, oh, my God. And he started talking about how much money you can make and how many shirts he has and this he has and cards. I was like, hell, young fella, you Harvard, you like selling yourself short. You're gonna be a multi-millionaire by the time you're 17.
Yeah, you'd be surprised, man. It's a huge market, a very huge market, and it's crazy. So when we do another one, I'll give you the heads up. But for sure, this weekend we're gonna be. I know I'm gonna be out at the card show. I don't know the exact day that I'm going to be there or the exact time, but I do want to try to get out there. So if I do, I'll let you know. If you want to swing by there with me, I'll definitely swing by there out there with you. And then we can maybe walk around, talk to a couple of people as well. But yeah, they got a big one going on this weekend. So nonetheless, man, the college football playoffs, talked about that at the beginning of the show, got into some De'Aaron Fox news. tomorrow, hopefully the power rankings come out for the NFL, so we can talk NFL power rankings. Also tomorrow, we got a couple of episodes this week Unplugged. The card edition is going to be coming out as well. So got a lot coming out here. Go to YouTube, search Sweep the League TV, be a subscriber so you don't miss out on any of the content. But until then, for Hall of Famer Derek Irvin, it is Rudy Converse Jr. Until we sweep the league again, we'll see you later, knuckleheads.
Everybody have a fantastic night. Stay safe.